Captain John Carter stood on the bridge of the Venture, scanning the expansive view of stars before him. His mission was to explore the outer reaches of the Milky Way, but the discovery of an alien outpost had drastically changed their course. "Lieutenant Hawks, status report," Carter commanded, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that lay ahead. "Sir, the outpost appears to be abandoned. No life forms detected within a 2-kilometer radius. However, there are signs of recent activity, perhaps a trap or a distress beacon was triggered recently," reported Lieutenant Hawks, his fingers dancing over the control panel. Carter nodded, turning to his chief engineer, Marco Ramirez, a veteran in space engineering and close confidant. "Marco, prep the landing team. We're going in." "Yes, Captain. I'll assemble the gear. We'll be ready to move in 15, Ramirez replied, his voice betraying a hint of excitement. The Venture descended smoothly onto the desolate landscape of the outpost. The airlock hissed as Carter led his team outside, the surface crunching under their boots. The alien architecture loomed above, silent and imposing. "Keep your eyes peeled and scanners on. We don't know what to expect," Carter instructed, leading the way into the shadowy interior of the structure. As they delved deeper, the air grew colder, and the faint hum of alien technology vibrated through the walls. Carter's second-in-command, Sergeant Ellis, kept a watchful eye on their six. "Strange, isn't it, Captain? No guards, no welcome party. Feels like a ghost town," Ellis remarked, his rifle ready. Carter paused, examining a strange, luminescent panel on the wall. "It does, Sergeant. Too quiet. Let's gather what intel we can and regroup outside in 1 hour. Move out." The team split into pairs, each tasked with exploring different sectors. Carter and Ramirez ventured into what appeared to be a control room. Dust-covered consoles and flickering screens filled the space. "Look at this, John," Ramirez said, brushing off a screen. The alien script started to translate on his portable device. "It's a log. Mentions a fleet movement to a sector not far from here." Before Carter could reply, a chilling laugh echoed through the room. The lights flickered, and a holographic image materialized in front of them. It depicted an alien creature, tall and menacing, with a cruel smile. "Do you really think someone will come to save you, little insect?" The projection sneered in a distorted voice. Carter stepped forward, unflinching. "We don't need saving. We stand our ground. Who are you?" The figure laughed again, its eyes glinting with malice. "I am Krell, warlord of the Drakthor. You have wandered into my domain, and you will pay the price for your folly." The transmission cut off abruptly, plunging the room back into semi-darkness. Carter's comlink crackled to life. "Captain, this is Hawks. We've got company, several bogies inbound. Looks like a whole squadron." "Copy that, Lieutenant. Everyone, rendezvous at the ship. Double time," Carter ordered, his heart racing. As they raced back to the Venture, the ground shook, and the sky darkened with enemy ships descending rapidly towards them. "Marco, fire up the engines. Ellis, cover our six. We're not going down without a fight," shouted Carter, leading his team in a sprint. They reached the Venture, and the ship roared to life just as the Drakthor opened fire. Carter took one last look at the outpost disappearing behind them, knowing this was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. "We've got a war on our hands, gentlemen. Let's get ready to show them what Earthlings are made of," Carter declared as they set course for home, the weight of the impending struggle heavy on his shoulders, yet unyielded in spirit. Captain John Carter paced the conference room aboard the Venture, waiting for the secure communication link to establish with the United Earth Government, UEG, headquarters. His crew, visibly shaken but resolute, had gathered key data from their brief but perilous encounter at the alien outpost. As the screen flickered to life, revealing the Council of UEG leaders, Carter cleared his throat, ready to relay the urgency of the threat. "Esteemed Council," Carter began, his tone grave, "we've encountered a highly aggressive alien species known as the Drakthor. They are militaristic, technologically advanced, and they have explicitly declared their intent to wage war against humanity." A murmur of disbelief and concern echoed through the transmission. General Ada Briggs, head of the UEG Defense Force, responded first. "Captain Carter, could this be a misunderstanding? An isolated faction, perhaps?" Carter shook his head, presenting the holographic recording of the Drakthor warlord's threats. "There is no misunderstanding, General. This is Krell, their leader. They've mistaken our exploratory mission for an invasion and responded with lethal force." The Council watched intently as the hologram of Krell played, its menacing message hanging heavily in the room. Secretary of State Michael Hahn finally spoke. "What is your assessment, Captain? How should we prepare?" Immediate reinforcement of our planetary defenses is crucial, Carter advised. We need to bolster our fleets and secure vulnerable outposts. The Drakthor could strike at any moment. Lieutenant Hawks interjected, providing tactical data. Their ships are fast and heavily armed, but seem to rely on energy weapons that could be countered with our new magnetic shielding technology. Carter nodded in agreement, turning back to the Council. I propose we initiate a full military alert and start preparations for defensive operations. We should also consider sending a diplomatic envoy to attempt peace talks, though we must prepare for the likelihood that these efforts may fail. The Council members exchanged looks of concern, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. After a moment of silence, General Briggs finally spoke. Captain Carter, your warning is taken with the utmost seriousness. We will begin preparations immediately. Keep the venture on standby for further instructions. As the communication ended, Carter and his crew felt a mix of relief and anxiety. They had done their part, but the specter of war loomed large. We've stirred a hornet's nest, Ramirez murmured, looking out the viewport at the stars that no longer seemed serene. Carter placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We may have, but we've also given Earth a fighting chance. Let's get back to our stations and prepare. We need to be ready for anything. The crew dispersed, each member lost in thought, but united in their resolve to defend their home. Carter returned to the bridge, his mind racing with strategies and contingencies. The peace of the galaxy had been shattered, and the path ahead was fraught with danger. He knew the next time they encountered the Drakthor, it would not be as a scouting party, but as the vanguard of humanity's defense. As Earth's first line of resistance, the Venture and her crew were now on the forefront of an impending interstellar conflict. As the first Drakthor warships appeared on the outskirts of Earth's orbit, panic spread across the globe. Admiral John Carter, recently promoted due to his encounter with the alien force, monitored the situation from the command center of the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF. The holographic displays showed enemy formations closing in, each vessel bristling with weaponry aimed at Earth. Admiral Carter, they're not responding to our hails, Lieutenant Hawks reported, frustration evident in his voice. All attempts at diplomatic contact have failed. Carter's jaw tightened as he viewed the advancing ships. Prepare all ground and orbital defenses. Inform all units to stand by for engagement. This is not a drill. Across Earth's major cities, sirens wailed, and citizens rushed to shelters. In space, Earth's defense satellites pivoted to target the incoming threat, while on the ground, anti-air batteries powered up, ready to fire. Admiral, they're launching the first wave of their attack, shouted Sergeant Ellis, who was now acting as the tactical coordinator. On Carter's command, Earth's defenses unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy beams, lighting up the space around the planet. The Drakthor ships, however, were equipped with advanced shielding, rendering the initial salvo ineffective. Carter watched the battle unfold, his mind racing for alternatives. Deploy the newly developed EMP mines. Let's see if we can disrupt their systems. The mines were a gamble. They were untested in real combat. The crew watched anxiously as the mines floated toward the enemy fleet and detonated, sending pulses of electromagnetic energy cascading through space. To their relief, several Drakthor ships faltered, their shields flickering out. Earth's forces took advantage of the opening, destroying several enemy ships. However, the victory was short-lived as more Drakthor reinforcements warped into the system. Admiral, our defenses are holding, but it's only a matter of time before they adapt, warned Commander Lena Joe, Carter's strategic advisor. I'm aware, Commander. Let's keep them off balance as long as we can. Prepare our reserve fleets and send out the call for all capable ships to join the defense, Carter commanded, his voice resolute. As Earth's orbital and lunar fleets joined the fray, Carter orchestrated a complex dance of warships and defensive platforms, holding back the alien assault wave after wave. The people of Earth watched through broadcasts, their hearts filled with both dread and awe at the spectacle above. Back on Earth, Marco Ramirez, now leading an engineering corps, worked feverishly to repair and reinforce defense installations. Keep those anti-air turrets online, people. Every shot counts. He barked orders over the roar of machinery and distant explosions. Meanwhile, Carter received a distress call from the ground. A major city was under direct attack, its defenses overwhelmed by a ground assault team from the Drakthor. Ellis, take your squadron and provide support. We can't let them gain a foothold, Carter ordered, his voice tense. Yes, sir, Ellis responded, rallying his team for a rapid descent to Earth's surface. As the battle raged in the skies and on the ground, Carter remained focused on the larger strategy. Despite the relentless pressure, Earth's forces managed to hold their positions, but each report of casualties and damage weighed heavily on him. In the midst of chaos, a message from the Drakthor commander crackled through the communication network, aimed directly at Carter. "Surrender, Admiral, and we will spare your world further destruction." Carter's response was terse. "Earth will not surrender. We will fight to the last." With renewed determination, he continued to coordinate Earth's defenses, knowing that the resolve and courage of every human being were now the keys to survival. As night fell, the battle showed no signs of abating, but Earth's unified defense continued to hold the line, embodying Carter's vow to fight to the very end. Amidst the ongoing siege of Earth, pockets of resistance began to form not only on the planet, but across human territories in space. The Drakthor had underestimated the determination and ingenuity of the human race. Admiral John Carter, coordinating the global defense from his command center, recognized the importance of these grassroots efforts and sought to bolster them through coordinated military support. In the suburbs of what was once a bustling metropolis, a small group of civilians, ex-military, and a few rogue scientists had turned an abandoned factory into their headquarters. They were retrofitting old drones and manufacturing makeshift weapons. Carter had sent one of his most trusted officers, Captain Rebecca Lee, to liaise with this group, providing them with tactical information and access to military supplies. Captain Lee stood before the group, her expression stern yet hopeful. "We've got a chance to make a real difference here. The Admiral has seen what you're capable of, and we're here to support you. We can provide you with weapons, intel, and training. Together, we can keep the Drakthor from taking over our planet." The leader of the resistance group, a former engineer named Michael, nodded in agreement. "We're ready to do whatever it takes. Show us how to turn these drones into something that can really sting those bastards." Over the next few weeks, these resistance cells grew in size and impact. Using guerrilla tactics, they harassed enemy supply lines, liberated captured areas, and gathered crucial intelligence about enemy movements. Their actions, though small in scale, began to disrupt the Drakthor's operations significantly. Back in space, Carter continued to lead the defense efforts from the UEDF command ship. His strategic acumen had kept Earth's defenses viable far longer than anyone had predicted. During a high-stakes meeting with his senior officers, he highlighted the importance of supporting resistance efforts on the ground. "We need to provide continuous support to these groups. They're making a difference out there," Carter emphasized. "Commander Joe, coordinate with logistics. I want supply drops to these coordinates within the hour." "Yes, Admiral," Joe replied, immediately setting to work. As Earth rotated slowly beneath them, cloaked UEDF ships made stealthy drops of supplies and equipment to designated points across the globe, ensuring the resistance could continue their operations. Meanwhile, on Earth, a significant breakthrough occurred. Michael's group had managed to capture a Drakthor communication device. After days of relentless work, the rogue scientists managed to crack its encryption, revealing valuable data about the alien command structure and their next planned offensive. Captain Lee, overseeing the operation, immediately relayed the intelligence to Carter. "Sir, we've got something big. This could give us the edge we need to push them back." Carter reviewed the information, his eyes narrowing as he realized the potential of this new intelligence. "Excellent work, Captain. Prepare to execute a counteroffensive based on this intel. We hit them where they least expect it." Plans were swiftly made to exploit the weaknesses revealed by the captured communications. Earth's forces, invigorated by the successes of the resistance and the invaluable intelligence they had provided, prepared for a major counterattack. The tide of the war seemed at last to be turning. From urban centers to rural outposts, from the depths of the oceans to the heights of the stratosphere, humanity stood united, each person contributing to the resistance in their own way. Admiral Carter, watching the Earth slowly turn, felt a surge of pride. Despite the overwhelming odds, humanity was not just surviving, it was fighting back. Admiral John Carter and his team worked tirelessly aboard the UEDF command ship, plotting the next critical steps of Operation Liberation. The recently intercepted communications had unveiled a vulnerability in the Drakthor's supply chains, particularly in their fuel reserves located on the dark side of the moon. The plan was risky, but could potentially cripple a significant portion of the enemy's fleet, altering the course of the war. "Listen up," Carter briefed his strike teams, his voice echoing through the strategy room. "Our target is the enemy's fuel depot on the moon, A precise, coordinated strike there will disrupt their operations across the system. We hit them hard and fast before they even know what's happening. Lieutenant Hawks, now a key strategist, outlined the tactical approach. We've got 3 teams. Alpha will take point on the assault, Bravo will cover the flanks, and Charlie will secure the extraction point. We'll have air and space support monitoring for any incoming threats. Timing has to be perfect. As the teams prepared, resistance fighters on Earth ramped up their sabotage efforts, further straining the enemy's logistics. Backed by Carter's strategic oversight, these fighters managed to lure significant Drakthor forces away from their moonbase, creating an opening for the assault teams. In the cold void of space, the strike teams approached the moon. The silence was unnerving, punctuated only by the occasional status check. As they neared the target, the quiet was shattered by the sudden alarm of proximity sensors. "Incoming enemy craft! Adjust vectors!" shouted Commander Joe, coordinating the fleet's movements from her console. The teams swiftly repositioned, narrowly dodging a barrage of fire from Drakthor interceptors. Carter watched the unfolding chaos, his heart pounding, yet his voice remained calm. "Maintain formation, focus on the objective. We can do this." With precision and a bit of luck, the strike teams reached the moon's surface, descending into the shadows where the fuel depot lay hidden. Explosions rocked the ground as they set charges, the bright flashes stark against the dark lunar soil. Back on Earth, Michael and his resistance team watched the live feed, their cheers filling the makeshift command center each time a target was successfully destroyed. The hope was palpable, fueling their resolve to keep fighting. As the last charges were detonated, a massive shockwave sent plumes of alien fuel into the vacuum of space, igniting in spectacular fireballs. The depot was destroyed, and with it, a critical node of the Drakthor supply chain. "Extraction teams, move in! Let's bring our people home," Carter ordered, his voice a mixture of relief and anticipation. The extraction was tense, with Drakthor reinforcements closing in fast, but the skilled pilots and fighters managed to retreat without significant casualties. As the strike teams docked safely back on the command ship, cheers erupted throughout the fleet. Carter addressed his crew, pride evident in his tone. "Today, you all demonstrated the strength and courage that define humanity. We've dealt a significant blow to the enemy, but this war is far from over. We must stay vigilant and ready to strike again. Let's prepare for the next phase." With the successful execution of Operation Liberation, the balance of power began to shift. Earth's forces, invigorated by the victory, prepared for the inevitable counterattacks. But for now, they celebrated, knowing that their bravery and determination had brought them one step closer to reclaiming their planet and securing their future. As the war with the Drakthor intensified, Earth's newly bolstered confidence was soon put to the test. Intelligence reports indicated a massive buildup of enemy forces on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, signaling the likelihood of an imminent major offensive. Admiral John Carter, recognizing the strategic importance of Titan in the solar system's defensive grid, decided it was critical to preemptively strike and disrupt the Drakthor operations there. "Titan is not just a moon. It's a linchpin in the control of the outer sectors," Carter explained in a high-level strategy meeting. "If we lose Titan, we risk the enemy pushing through to Mars and beyond, potentially encircling Earth. We must take the offensive." Carter organized a combined fleet of Earth's best warships, supplemented with elite marine units for ground operations. The mission was clear: seize control of Titan and dismantle the Drakthor's operational capacity there. As the fleet approached Titan, the grim, icy landscape came into view, dotted with enemy installations glowing ominously in the dim sunlight. Lieutenant Hawks, now a seasoned combat tactician, coordinated the initial space engagements. "Deploy fighters and breach the enemy's outer defenses. All units, keep formation and watch for flanks," Hawks commanded, his voice steady amidst the chaos of battle. In space, intense dogfights erupted between Earth's fighters and Drakthor drones. Meanwhile, ground troops, led personally by Carter aboard the flagship, prepared for their descent onto the moon's surface. "Once we breach the atmosphere, it's going to be a hard push. Expect heavy resistance," Carter briefed his ground commanders. "Our goal is to capture their command center and disable their communications array. Without it, they'll be blind and crippled." The dropships descended through Titan's thin atmosphere, shaking violently from anti-aircraft fire. As they landed, troops poured out, finding themselves in a harsh firefight. The surface of Titan proved to be a treacherous battleground, with its low gravity and cold temperatures adding to the challenge. Sergeant Ellis, leading a squad through the icy fog, radioed in, Admiral, we've reached the outer perimeter of their base. The place is heavily fortified, but we're making progress. Keep pushing, Ellis. Every inch we take disrupts their plans, Carter responded, monitoring the situation from his command center on the flagship. The battle for Titan was brutal and prolonged. Earth's forces maneuvered through the network of enemy trenches and bunkers, using every piece of tactical knowledge they had. After hours of relentless combat, Carter's Marines finally breached the main command center. Inside, they encountered fierce resistance from the Drakthor guards, but superior training and determination prevailed. The command center was secured, and the communications array was destroyed, effectively blinding the Drakthor forces on Titan. With Titan secured, Carter issued a rallying call to his troops. This victory is a testament to your courage and tenacity. Titan is ours, but our fight continues. We must use this momentum to push them back further. Prepare for the next phase. The capture of Titan marked a significant turning point in the war. Earth's forces, once on the defensive, were now reclaiming territory and dictating the terms of engagement. Carter knew the Drakthor would retaliate, but for the moment, the victory at Titan allowed humanity to breathe a small sigh of relief and prepare for the challenges ahead. After the significant victory on Titan, the morale among Earth's forces soared. Admiral John Carter recognized the strategic and symbolic value of this triumph and planned to use the momentum to shift the broader war dynamics. The battle had provided critical insights into the enemy's tactics and technology, which Carter was eager to exploit. Staff meeting, 0600 hours, Carter announced to his senior officers, the fatigue in his voice belying his determined demeanor. We need to assess our position and plan our next steps carefully. This war is far from over. In the war room aboard the UEDF command ship, maps of the solar system were displayed with various potential targets highlighted. Carter and his team gathered around, each member ready with reports and suggestions. Commander Joe opened the discussion. With Titan under our control, we've cut off one of their main supply routes. It's disrupted their operations in the outer sectors significantly. Lieutenant Hawks added, our tech teams have analyzed some of the Drakthor technology recovered from Titan. We believe we can adapt some of their shielding technology to enhance our fleet. Carter nodded thoughtfully. Good. Implement those upgrades immediately. As for our next move, we need to keep them off balance. Suggestions? Captain Rebecca Lee, who had been coordinating resistance activities, spoke up. Sir, our resistance networks on Mars have reported a significant decrease in Drakthor patrols. It seems Titan was a staging ground for their operations on Mars. We have a window to push them off the Red Planet. Carter considered this. Mars could be our next key battleground. Securing Mars would not only push them further back, but also bolster our defenses around Earth. The decision was made. Operation Red Strike was swiftly put into motion. Earth's fleet, upgraded with new technologies and burning with the fire of recent victory, set course for Mars. The Drakthor, still reeling from their loss at Titan, scrambled to fortify their positions. As Earth's forces approached Mars, the resistance cells on the ground initiated their sabotage missions. Explosions at key facilities and ambushes on patrol units caused chaos among the Drakthor ranks, softening their defenses just as Carter's fleet arrived. The battle for Mars was fierce. Drakthor fighters clashed with Earth's newly enhanced ships in the dusty red skies. On the ground, Carter led a coalition of Marines and local resistance fighters. The fighting was brutal, with neither side willing to yield the strategic planet. After days of continuous conflict, a breakthrough came. Sergeant Ellis led a daring assault on the main Drakthor command hub on Mars, capturing their field commander. With their leadership in disarray, the Drakthor forces began to falter. Carter, seeing the shift in the tide, pressed his advantage. All units, full advance. Push them back to their landing zones. This is our planet now. The Drakthor were overwhelmed. Earth's forces, motivated by their previous successes and the possibility of ending the war, fought with unrelenting vigor. Mars was eventually cleared of Drakthor presence, marking another major victory for humanity. In the aftermath, Carter addressed his weary but victorious troops. Today, Mars is free thanks to your valor. We have shown the Drakthor that humanity will not be conquered. We will fight for every inch of our territory. Let this victory remind us of our strength when we stand together. With Mars secured, Carter knew the final confrontation with the Drakthor was inevitable. The victory had indeed been a turning point, setting the stage for the ultimate battle for Earth's future. As they prepared for what was to come, Carter and his forces knew they were not just fighting for control of planets, but for the very survival of humanity. The war had reached its zenith. After significant victories on Titan and Mars, Admiral John Carter prepared Earth's forces for the ultimate confrontation. Intelligence indicated the Drakthor were amassing what remained of their fleet for a decisive strike against Earth. It was clear that this would be the battle to either cement humanity's freedom or spell its doom. On the command bridge of the UEDF flagship, Carter oversaw the final preparations. His crew, battle-hardened and resolute, understood the gravity of what was to come. "This is it," Carter declared. "The Drakthor are throwing everything they have at us. We need to be ready to meet their force with our own. We will not let them break us." Earth's skies bristled with ships and defensive installations, a metal canopy of war readiness. Carter coordinated with his commanders, ensuring that every unit was in place, from orbital platforms to ground forces. As the dark silhouette of the Drakthor fleet appeared on the horizon, a tense silence fell over the command center. Lieutenant Hawks broke the stillness, reporting from his station. "Enemy fleet in range in T-minus 60 seconds. All units are on high alert." "Signal all units. Engage on sight," Carter ordered, his voice steady, his eyes fixed on the screens showing the approaching menace. The sky erupted in light as beams and missiles crisscrossed the atmosphere. The Drakthor, desperate to win a decisive victory, pushed forward with relentless aggression. But Earth's defenses, fortified by technology adapted from captured Drakthor equipment and driven by the will to protect their home, held firm. On the ground, the vibrations of the overhead battle were felt intensely. In major cities, civilians huddled in shelters, listening to the distant echoes of warfare, their fates hanging in the balance. In space, Carter maneuvered his fleet with tactical precision, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's formation. As the battle waged, a gap opened in the Drakthor lines, a vulnerability that Carter was quick to exploit. "Focus all fire on their command ship. Break their backbone," he commanded, pointing to the heart of the enemy fleet. As UEDF fighters swarmed the Drakthor command ship, its shields began to falter under the intense barrage. Inside the command center, Carter and his crew watched intently as the enemy's flagship sustained critical damage and finally exploded in a brilliant burst of light. With the destruction of their command ship, the Drakthor fleet descended into disarray. Sensing victory, Carter pressed his advantage. "All units advance. Drive them back." The battle continued for hours, but without their command structure, the Drakthor forces could not sustain their offensive. One by one, their ships either retreated or were destroyed. As the last of the enemy ships warped out of Earth's orbit, defeated, a cheer erupted from Carter's crew. Earth had been defended successfully, and humanity had proven its resilience and tactical superiority in the face of annihilation. Carter stood in the midst of celebration, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow for the heavy losses endured. "We've secured our home," he announced to his crew, "but let us remember the cost at which this victory came. We must stay vigilant, rebuild, and honor those who sacrificed their lives for our future." In the aftermath, Earth began the process of reconstruction. Cities were rebuilt and monuments erected in honor of the fallen. Humanity had not only survived but had emerged stronger, united by their common struggle. Carter, hailed as a hero, knew that this war had changed humanity forever. It had awakened a new era of space exploration and defense, one that promised to safeguard the future against any threats from within or beyond the stars. As peace settled over the planet, Carter looked to the stars with a new perspective. Earth was but a part of a vast, intricate tapestry of the universe, a universe that humanity was now more ready than ever to explore and protect.